Hinduism is the oldest religion in the world, originating in Central Asia and the Indus Valley, still practiced in the present day. The term Hinduism is what is known as an exonym, a name given by others to a people, place, or concept, and derives from the Persian term Sindhist designating those who lived across the Indus River. Adherents of the faith know it as Sanatan Dharma, eternal order, or eternal path, and understand the precepts, as set down in the scriptures known as the Vedas, as having always existed just as Brahman, the supreme oversoul from whom all of creation emerges, has always been. Brahman is the first cause which sets all else in motion but is also that which is in motion, that which guides the course of creation, and creation itself. Accordingly, one may interpret Hinduism as monotheistic, as there is one God, polytheistic, as there are many avatars of the one God, henotheistic, as one may choose to elevate any one of these avatars to supremacy, pantheistic, as the avatars might be interpreted as representing aspects of the natural world, or even atheistic as one might choose to replace the concept of Brahman with oneself in striving to be the best version of oneself. This belief system was first set down in writing in the works known as the Vedas during the so-called Vedic period circa 1500, c. 500 before Christian era, but the concepts were transmitted orally long before. There is no founder of Hinduism, no date of origin, nor, according to the faith, a development of the belief system. The scribes who wrote the Vedas are said to have been simply recording that which had always existed. This eternal knowledge is known as Shruti, what is heard, and is set down in the Vedas and their various sections known as the Samhitas, Aranyakas, Brahmanas, and, most famously, the Upanishads, each of which addresses a different aspect of the faith. These works are complemented by another type known as Smritis, what is remembered, which relate stories on how one is to practice the faith and include the Puranas, the epics Mahabharata and Ramayana, the Yoga Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. None of these, however, should be considered the Hindu Bible, as there is no claim they are the Word of God. They are, instead, the revelation of the truth of existence which claims the universe is rational, structured, and controlled by the supreme oversoul/mind known as Brahman, in whose essence all human beings take part. The purpose of life is to recognize the essential oneness of existence, the higher aspect of the individual self, known as the Atman, which is a part of everyone else's self as well as the oversoul/mind and, through adherence to one's duty in life, dharma, performed with the proper action, karma, to slip the bonds of physical existence and escape from the cycle of rebirth and death, samsara. Once the individual has done so, the Atman joins with Brahman and one has returned home to the primordial oneness. That which keeps one from realizing this oneness is the illusion of duality, the belief that one is separate from others and from one's creator, but this misconception, known as Maya, encouraged by one's experience in the physical world, may be overcome by recognizing the essential unity of all existence, how alike one is to others and, finally, to the divine, and attaining the enlightened state of self-actualization. Early development. Some form of the belief system which would become, or at least influence, Hinduism most likely existed in the Indus Valley prior to the 3rd millennium BCE when a nomadic coalition of tribes who referred to themselves as Aryan came to the region from Central Asia. Some of these people, now referred to as Indo-Iranians, settled in the region of modern-day Iran, some of whom came to be known in the West as Persians, while others, now known as Indo-Aryans, made their home in the Indus Valley. The term Aryan referred to a class of people, not a race, and meant free man or noble. The long-standing myth of an Aryan invasion, in which Caucasians brought civilization to the region, is the product of narrow-minded and prejudiced 18th and 19th century CE Western scholarship and has long been discredited. It is clear from the ruins of cities such as Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, to name only the two most famous, that a highly advanced civilization was already well developed in the Indus River Valley by circa 3000 BCE, having grown from Neolithic period settlements dating to before 7000 BCE. This period is now referred to as the era of the Indus Valley Civilization or the Harappan Civilization, circa 700, c. 600 BCE, which would be influenced by and merged with the culture of the Indo-Aryans. Brahmanism. Vedism became Brahmanism, a religious belief focusing on the underlying truth, the first cause, of all observable phenomena as well as the unseen aspects of existence. The sages who developed Brahmanism began with the observable world which operated according to certain rules. They called these rules Rita, order, and recognized that, in order for Rita to exist, something had to have existed previously to create it. One could not have rules without a rulemaker. At this time, there were many gods in the pantheon of Vedism who could have been looked to as the first cause, but the sages went beyond the anthropomorphic deities and recognized, as Kohler puts it, that there is a wholeness, an undivided reality, that is more fundamental than being or non-being. 19. This entity was envisioned as an individual but one so great and powerful as to be beyond all human comprehension. The being they came to refer to as Brahman did not just exist in reality, another being like any others, nor outside of reality, in the realm of non-being or pre-existence, but was actual reality itself. Brahman not only caused things to be as they were, it was things as they were, had always been, and would always be. Hence the designation of Sanatana Dharma, eternal order, as the name of the belief system. Classical Hinduism. Brahmanism developed into the system now known as Hinduism which, although generally regarded as a religion, is also considered a way of life and a philosophy. The central focus of Hinduism, whatever form one believes it takes, is self-knowledge. In knowing oneself, one comes to know God. Evil comes from ignorance of what is good, knowledge of what is good negates evil. One's purpose in life is to recognize what is good and pursue it according to one's particular duty, dharma, and the action involved in that proper pursuit is one's karma. The more dutifully one performs one's karma in accordance with one's dharma, the closer to self-actualization one becomes and so the closer to realizing the divine in oneself. The physical world is an illusion only in so far that it convinces one of duality and separation. One may turn one's back on the world and pursue the life of a religious ascetic, but Hinduism encourages full participation in life through the Purusharthas, life goals, which are Artha, one's career, home life, material wealth. Kama, love, sexuality, sensuality, pleasure. Moksha, liberation, freedom. Enlightenment, self-actualization. The soul takes enjoyment in these pursuits even though it understands they are all temporal pleasures. The soul is immortal, it has always existed as part of Brahman and will always exist, therefore the finality of death is an illusion. At death, the soul discards the body and then is reincarnated if it failed to attain moksha or, if it did, the Atman becomes one with Brahman and returns to its eternal home. The cycle of rebirth and death, known as samsara, will continue until the soul has had its fill of earthly experience and pleasures and concentrates a life on detachment and pursuit of eternal, rather than temporal, goods. Helping or hindering one in this goal are three qualities or characteristics inherent in every soul known as the gunas. Sattva, wisdom, goodness, detached enlightenment. Rajas, passionate intensity, constant activity, aggression. Tamas, literally, blown by the winds, darkness, confusion, helplessness. The gunas are not three states one works through from lowest to highest, they are present in every soul to greater or lesser degrees. An individual who is generally composed and lives a good life might still become swept away by passion or find themselves whirling in helpless confusion. Recognizing the gunas for what they are, however, and working to control the less desirable aspects of them, helps one to see more clearly one's dharma in life and how to perform it. One's dharma can only be performed by oneself, no one may perform another's duty. Everyone has arrived on the earth with a specific role to play. Texts and observance. Manu's later interference aside, the concept of eternal order is made clear through the texts which are regarded as the Hindu scriptures. These works, as noted, fall into two classes. Shruti, what is heard, the revelation of the nature of existence as recorded by the scribes who heard it and recorded it in the Vedas. Smrtis, what is remembered, accounts of great heroes of the past and how they lived, or failed to live, in accordance with the precepts of eternal order. The texts relating Shruti are the four Vedas. Rig Veda, the oldest of the Vedas, a collection of hymns. Sama Veda, liturgical texts, chants, and songs. Yajur Veda, ritual formulas, mantras, chants. Atharva Veda, spells, chants, hymns, prayers. Each of these is further divided into types of text. Aranyakas, rituals, observances. Brahmanas, commentaries on said rituals and observances explaining them. Samhitas, benedictions, prayers, mantras. Upanishads, philosophical commentaries on the meaning of life and Vedas. These texts allude to or specifically address numerous deities such as Indra, lord of the cosmic forces, thunderbolts, storms, war, and courage, Vak, goddess of consciousness, speech, and clear communication, Agni, god of fire and illumination, Kali, goddess of death, Ganesh, the elephant-headed god, remover of obstacles, Parvati, goddess of love, fertility, and strength and also the consort of Shiva, and Soma, god of the sea, fertility, illumination, and ecstasy. Among the most important of the deities are those who make up the so-called Hindu Trinity. Brahma, the creator. Vishnu, the preserver. Shiva, the destroyer. All of these gods are manifestations of Brahman, the ultimate reality, who can only be understood through aspects of itself. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are both these aspects and individual deities with their own characters, motivations, and desires. They may also be understood through their own avatars, as they themselves are also too overwhelming to be comprehended on their own entirely, and so take the form of other gods, the most famous of which is Krishna, the avatar of Vishnu, who comes to earth periodically to adjust humanity's understanding in correct error. Conclusion. This relationship between a believer and the deity is most apparent through the many festivals observed throughout the year. Among the most popular is Diwali, the festival of lights, which celebrates the triumph of bright energies and light over the forces of negativity and darkness. In this festival, as in daily observance, the presence of a statue or figurine of a deity is important in making connection and elevating the mind and soul of an adherent. Diwali is probably the best example of the discipline of Bhakti Yoga, which focuses on loving devotion and service. People clean, renovate, decorate, and improve their homes in honor of the goddess of fertility and prosperity Lakshmi, and give thanks for all they have received from her. There are many other deities, however, who may be called upon at Diwali to take the place of Lakshmi depending on what an adherent needs and what has been received over the past year. The individual deity does not finally matter because all the deities of the pantheon are aspects of Brahman, as is the worshipper and the act of worship. The details of the observance do not matter as much as the observance itself, which acknowledges one's place in the universe and reasserts one's commitment to recognizing the divine unity in every aspect of one's life and one's connection to others who are traveling the same path toward home.